Good evening and welcome to Undoing I Do with Stephanie Hunnell. I'm Stephanie Hunnell, your host for this evening, and the owner of the Hunnell Law Group in Asbury Park, New Jersey. Go ahead, you can go.
And I'm Adela Sherilyn Dow, the owner of the law offices of Adela Sherilyn Dow in Staten Island, New York. And we're going to tell you in a minute why Stephanie's a little foggy. She has not been hitting the bottles. Don't worry.
I have my second COVID vaccine yesterday morning, and it is like hit me. So I'm a little bit, have a little bit of brain fuzz. So excuse me, I couldn't even say Undoing I Do with Stephanie in a day because I thought I skipped a piece. But
so listen, we are just going to be shooting the breeze today. We're not even giving any well, maybe we'll touch on the law. I mean, it's ingrained in us so much. So
it always. I'm guessing we're probably giving some tips of how to save money and aggravation, because that's been the topic in the last 2 weeks for me. Settling a case that was supposed to go to trial with briefs that were going to be due today, and would have been a lot easier to settle had the other person given us what they needed. I'm just tired of people.
Listen, people be making all kinds of excuses. I know that's not proper English. Okay, forgive me for being Brooklyn, but we're just talking about whatever today. So people are just lazy about this stuff. Even the attorneys. I mean, I had a similar case that was supposed to settle today, and the attorney's like, "Oh, but I have to review all of the documents again." But why? Why can't you just hit compare and contrast on Word and then look at the documents? I mean, I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, I need to settle this case for my client. These people are spending way too much money. But yeah, I mean, is it that they're trying to prolong the case so that they can get paid? I mean, really, you have to have other things to do. This cannot be your only case.
I also think maybe sometimes people are just busy, and because they think that another case, or they maybe be busy with something else, and they don't want to give you that bit of information. I don't know. Just give us what we need, and then we can resolve the case. I had the same thing with the whole track changes situation and a PDF. They converted it, and then they messed up all of the formatting. I'm like, you literally just undo it in your PDF folder. There's a one button that you hit to convert from a PDF to a Word document. I don't get it.
So are you finding this more amongst attorneys who've been practicing for a longer time, or are you finding this amongst everyone? Because I find that even people who I think should have a working knowledge of the technology are they're spazzing out.
Yeah, I mean, I have a case with an attorney who's a longtime attorney and who does this kind of work, but they sent me over, I don't even know, A through N exhibits, and they were one PDF. So one PDF for A, B, C, D. It's torture. You have to click those 30 seconds to click open each of those PDFs is frustrating. Combine them all.
I feel like people have technology paralysis right now. Mm-hmm. I feel like, people have been, because everybody's been home for so long, and I feel like people are just overwhelmed, and one of the things about it that I find is that I'm working so much harder than I did when we weren't shut down, because I think there's this expectation that I get it to you now, I get it back fast. I get it to you now, I get it back. So, and I have a tendency to be a workaholic anyway, so it's very easy for me to. Well, thanks for calling me out. It's really easy for me to go into that dark side of, just work and be up at 1 o'clock in the morning doing stuff. But I mean, do you find that you're working more during COVID?
Yeah, I have been. I'm working so I might go and make something in the kitchen for lunch or something, or take a little longer of a lunch break than I normally would if I was just in the office and grabbing a sandwich or something. But then I'm working until 8 or 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Which I always do.
I was on vacation last week and I was working, and I was literally putting a divorce through. And I called my client back and I'm like, yeah, so this is what's going to happen next. And she's like, aren't you on vacation? Yes. Yes, ma'am, I am. I am on vacation, and my little guy was in the back, like, probably like, "Mommy, you need to stop. Hello, I'm
We did
here."
we did our
Yeah,
show last week when you were on vacation.
we did, we did,
Yeah.
but this is fun, so that wasn't work, you know. But how are you feeling after the COVID shot? Because I'm going to get my vaccination, but I'm scared. So how are
I
you feeling?
mean, so I don't know how much of it is that I haven't been sick in a while compared to this is just really rough, but every part of my body aches. Hold on one second, because I'm looking at our thing and I don't think our live is up.
Really? That's not possible. Facebook wouldn't do that to us.
Facebook didn't allow me to log on even.
I don't see it on.
Wow.
Do you see it on your end?
Yeah, it says we're live right now.
That's not possible.
Yep.
There we go. All right, it's just here. Oh, thank you, Shonda. I was looking at my phone and Rich came in and goes, I don't see it. We swear up, thankfully. Yeah, no, I think. By the way, Shonda's an amazing realtor in Monmouth County. So she's somebody that I would love to have on the show to talk about divorce.
Shonda, you need to come up on the show, Shonda. What in the world? Don't be hiding up in the comments, Shonda. Come on. We need to do a show on real estate, and we were going to do it today, actually, on the real estate and divorce and how people go about selling their houses and this, that, and the other in a divorce. And my the guest who we had agreed upon actually had a COVID diagnosis, so he couldn't come in. Okay, that's a commitment. Look at Shonda. Look at Shonda. Girl. Now you don't know what you're in for, Shonda. Yeah, thank you.
I know, thank you. Yeah, don't be afraid of getting the second shot. I mean, hopefully it'll be tomorrow. I'll feel fine. I'm telling you, after the show, I'm probably going to go put my hoodie back up and lay on the couch with some tea. But otherwise, and I'm really dehydrated. Like, I've been drinking so much water.
Yeah, see, and what I was telling you before is that would be a real problem for me because I don't hydrate enough. So, I mean, I would be on the floor somewhere. So I'm going to have to really make a mental note of that, but thank you, Shanta. I'm going to have to make a mental note of that, But listen, I'm trying to be out in the streets. I'm team stay gone. So I went, my vacation was to the Poconos. Shout out to the Poconos. I know that that's actually going someplace. But I would have loved to be someplace else, someplace a little further. I don't, someplace where I could have had my pina colada out of a real coconut that some guy just climbed up on the tree to get.
Oh, I missed Well, that's the one thing I'm happy about. So now that I have the vaccine, supposedly if you, after 2 weeks, then you could, travel. It's a lot safer. So we'll see. I got to plan
I'm
something.
going to have to live vicariously through your photos. So you better throw some up. I'll look at it and be like, where are we today?
Oh, Shonda says vitamin D supplements too. I haven't been taking any supplements. I've been so bad. I haven't even taken any vitamins at all.
So here's the thing. Honestly, I never take vitamins. Like, I always feel like it's some kind of hoodoo voodoo or something. Like, I never take vitamins. Yeah, and so I need to start doing that because every time I go to my daughter's pediatrician, and they're like, "So, are there vitamin supplements?" I'm like, no, but they're healthy, right? So I feel so judged every time I go.
The older I get, the more I'm like, I need vitamins. I need something.
What I need to get my yoga practice back. Do you practice yoga?
I used to, and I used to be so much nicer.
Right, me too. I feel like I was a lot nicer. But I do meditate. So I have gotten back into my meditation practice. And before COVID, I was very adamant about my meditation. And, I remember being on vacation in Florida and I was sharing the room with my aunt, and she was talking to me, and I was like, she's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Because she never saw me meditate before. But I'm getting back into it, and I'm hoping to add my yoga practice back into it too.
Yeah, that's good. I have to say, I mean, with meditation, which I have never done consistently, but the times that I pick it up and do it, and with yoga, I have way more mental clarity and more of like capacity for the law, because things aren't making me crazy as quickly as they do. And I think now that I'm saying that, the last 2 weeks I've been nuts with people. So maybe I need to do that.
Yeah. I'm gonna send you an app, just like I send you. You know, we send each. I send you podcasts. I send you. I'm like, girl, check this out.
We Karen.
I don't know how we're gonna have time to check all these things out.
Because we're doing it at 1 a.m.
Right. So I was listening to this podcast that I sent you, called "Unf Your Mind." I'm not gonna say the word, even though we're on Facebook. I'm a lady. I'm not gonna say the word on Facebook. But I just realized how much mind work, how important mindset and mind work is. You know, whether you're in a divorce or not. I think I was talking about regeneration on my
You did.
on my Insta the other day, right? And you know, you on your live the other day were talking about, you know, the concept of writing scared, and all of that is about your mindset, you know, and what kind of work you need to do. And I think that meditation helps so much with respect to that.
Yep. So I touched on this is actually this Tuesday, this mindset a little bit. I mentioned being proactive versus reactive, and that's kind of a Kabbalah term. So I also study Kabbalah. And with the proactive, you're really, you know, doing things in advance, like based on whatever it is that you want to accomplish, as opposed to waiting for something to happen. And one of the big examples that they use is, for example, like if you need to start eating correctly, and you might have a heart attack, that's reactive. That's like the universe telling you need to slow it down. You need to stop eating like all of these fatty foods, or you need to take better care of yourself, as opposed to doing it already without having that issue happen, proactively making yourself healthy to avoid that altogether.
Yeah, I think that's just the human condition, right? Where we're so, I don't know whether we're trained to be reactive or whether we're born reactive. Because like when you think about it, when the baby is born, one of the first things that they do after they breathe their first breath is they wail. Right? It's a reaction to being in a new environment. And so, I mean, I wonder the nature versus nurture argument of that. But I think that, you know, one of the things that we can learn in life is that, first of all, most of the stuff that happens outside of you has nothing to do with you. Has nothing to do with you. Whether that's people's opinions of you. And I always tell people, as a matter of fact, I told the adversary the other day, this adversary said to me that he didn't want to make an appointment to speak to me. And I run my office by appointments. I do that so that I have, you know, a good firm grasp on who I need to talk to and who nobody's waiting to hear back from me or anything like that. And so he felt like he needed to give me his few cents on what he thought about me taking appointments. And I'm like, well, what you think about me is really none of my business. That's none of my business. You can think what you want to think about me.
Yeah. And you could run your practice.
Thank you for thinking about me. Because that must mean I'm a hot such a so.
I was just talking to somebody this week, early like Monday, and kind of something similar where they were talking about, I was saying how I take off on Mondays, and it really isn't that I'm not working, it's that I'm doing administrative stuff. So I call it Money Mondays. I do everything administrative, pay my bills, we do like whatever I have to do, balance checkbooks, all of that stuff. And he was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm like, yeah, like once you realize that you have permission to run your law practice the way that you want, then you can like, it's so freeing. I'm not terrified of Mondays. You know, when people have on a Sunday, they're like, oh God, I got to go to work on Monday. What's all sitting on my desk? Well, I don't even have that feeling anymore. So yeah, you can run your practice the way you want, and doing up scheduled calls. I think that's the number one way to save your psyche, because you're not constantly being interrupted by people.
Yeah, I think that in running your practice, but also just in running your life, like you have to give yourself permission to do you. So I was talking to somebody today, and they were like, "Girl, when you dyed your hair purple," I was like, "Go a day, go a day." I was like, "Yeah, I'm 40-ish years old. Like nobody's gonna tell me what I can and cannot do. Like."
Huh?
Unless we're not doing that. That's the game that we're not playing anymore.
Right.
Where you feel like you have to edit yourself in order to be accepted by whomever or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I think a lot of lawyers do that, right? Like even from the way, to the way people dress, like I'll go into court in a leopard jumpsuit. Like it's going to be fly though. And I'm going to look professional, but yes, I will wear leopard, zebra, chain link, whatever. I'm going to wear it.
You have some amazing outfits.
Thank you, girl.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh my gosh.
but yeah, like, why do people feel like they have to do that? And I mean, I remember being a teenager thinking, oh, I got to fit in. I got to get a JanSport. And which I never got, by the way, because my mama didn't have that money for that JanSport. But, but you got to do this, you got to do that. And I think that there's people even now who do that. When we talk about, divorce, oh, well, what would my family think about the divorce? And who cares? They don't have to live with you all day. Wherever you go, there you are, right?
Yep. And you have to live with yourself and the decisions that you make for yourself and your family, period. Doesn't matter what anything else says. And by the way, no matter how often you're with other people, like your family, your parents, your brothers, your sisters, or whatever, they love you to death. And they only want to see what's best for you, or at least in their mind, what's best for you. But they're not living your life every single day. So they don't know all the ins and outs of how you're feeling and what's going on with you. And so they might think that they're giving you like this solid advice, but you have to really make those decisions for yourself and not be afraid to make those decisions because you're afraid what somebody might think of you. I think that's especially true when people have to deal with infidelity, because if there's infidelity in a marriage, it doesn't always have to mean that you have to immediately get a divorce.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Yeah, I mean, and I feel like people judge a lot with that. Like, oh, girl, if he did, I wouldn't stay. Or especially men. Like men get judged a whole lot if they decide they're going to stay with their spouses after their spouse cheats. Because it's like, how could she or he has been defiled, or they've been defiled. How can you possibly? And I think that a lot of men have more of an ability to forgive on some of these things than women do, even sometimes. And they get judged really harshly for deciding that they actually do want their marriage.
I do wonder how much of that is like our society with putting stereotypes on men versus women. So if a man has multiple partners, sexual partners, that's like, okay, he's a guy, he's a dude, like, look at him. And a woman has multiple sexual partners and she's a whore and a slut. And, so with that, if your spouse cheats on you, automatically there's that level of, like tarnishment, like you said, she's defiled, versus just with a man, well, he cheated, he's unfaithful. Like there's different language even associated with it.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I agree with that. I mean, here's my takeaway on that. Do you? Do you? Because it's very taxing to live your life for other people.
Yeah.
And I feel like once you start to get to the point where you say, you know what, I'm just going to be whoever I am, your mental health is going to be so much more improved. Hey, you might even lose that extra 10 pounds that you're trying to lose because you're not dealing with the baggage.
Right.
That prevents you from eating right or exercising properly. Heck, I mean, even moms, or primary caregivers, just taking the time to not be a caregiver to anybody but themselves.
You have to, and there's a fine line because, I think with parents, especially now, you have your kids way longer periods of time than you would normally have to have them. And you go to work and your kids are at school and then you have them at night, and the routine. But, now there's homeschooling and you got to deal with that. And then you got to deal with, you're trying to juggle your job and your work, and you have to take time to say, self-care, even if it's just like soak in a bathtub for an hour.
Yeah. I mean, look, my kids are always coming for me. So I'm like, I'm just going to take a drive and I love driving. Do you like to drive? I love to drive.
I don't mind being a passenger.
You don't mind being driven. Oh my gosh, I love driving. I don't know what it is. I'm a car girl though. Like I'm a car girl. Yeah, look at Rich, your husband blew you up. She don't drive. But I will say that. Wait, hold up. The sun is getting in my eye. I will say though, if I'm traveling with my husband, I prefer that he drive. I don't know what that is. Now, maybe I'm sexist. I prefer that he drives because I'm like, you're supposed to be taking care of your wife and driving.
Well, when I drive and he's in the passenger seat, he's like this, grabbing onto the hip, like, do you see that? Wait, what? Like, can you just be quiet? If I'm driving, there's been times where I'm like, I'm just going to pull over so you could drive because I don't need you to tell me. I've been doing it for 48, well, maybe not 48 years, but.
My mother does that.
Baby. Yeah.
My mother does that. Shout out to you, Mom, if you're watching. My mother does that. And I'm like, so she did that. We were on vacation last week and she did that. And she's like, stop the car. And I'm like, wait, did I not see something? That guy is coming. Oh, Mom, he is turning right now. Why are you being a backseat driver from the side seat? Like, what are you doing? I'm like, you were giving me agita. You need to stop. Please stop. I'm like, you're gonna get me into more trouble because I saw him making a turn.
Because you think you missed something, and
Oh my gosh, what is that?
That's funny. That's really funny.
But you know what? A place that I've been looking at other people traveling to right now is St. Lucia. There was this place called Body Holiday, and a couple of my girlfriends had talked about going there. And it's it's nonstop spa apparently. I feel like I need that kind of self-care in my life. But seeing as how I'm not vaccinated, I guess I'm just not going to be able to go.
You're going to have to text me the info on that one because I might have to do that one.
Yes, you and Rich, and I'm going to need pictures of the spa. I'm going to need everything, okay? So I can feel like I'm there. Y'all send me some leaves. You know the leaves at the eucalyptus or whatever? Yeah. Y'all send me some of that.
I'm in for it all. Oh my gosh.
I usually travel without. I usually like to travel without my kids, but we just recently started traveling with my daughter who's older because she would enjoy it. Now that I got little guy, I'm like, because I used to see people on vacation with their kids. Like, is it a vacation if you have to wipe somebody else's butt but your own? Is it really?
I know, and I do think, and I hope, and hopefully the parents that I do see that are on vacation like that, hopefully they do take vacations on their own too, because I think you need to. You really need to have your own time, your husband-wife time.
I think that's completely true. I know people who don't vacation without their kids, and I always wonder, like, how do they get the real downtime that I think you need in order to secure the foundation of your marriage? But everybody's thoughts with respect to this are different.
Yeah.
But my thought process, and my husband shared the same thought process, thankfully, was always that we have to be good in order, because we're the foundation of the family. And so my thought process was always that we needed to take time to be good in order to make sure that our kids are good.
Yeah, I think that's true. I look, in the divorce context, we see it that way. When two people are at each other, the kids know it. Yeah. Whether or not you're trying to hide it or not, but if they can see it, they can see the tension. When my parents, just before they got divorced, and my mom finally told me they were getting divorced, I was like, oh, thank God. You guys fight all the time. Like, I'm not upset about it.
I was wondering if I was going to have to hire an attorney for y'all. And I was saving up my paper route money to do it because really. No, but I mean, kids are not stupid. Like they feel the energy. The energy is different. Even if you all are not divorcing, kids are like, yeah, so y'all are not right. Like, you know, they look at you different.
That goes again to what we were saying about doing what you have to do for yourself, being proactive instead of waiting. Because I hear a lot of times people say that they're going to wait until their kids are older when they're going to go off to college, or they're holding off on these decisions. That's a lot of life that you're putting on hold.
So somebody asked me the other day, like, what would I do if I were them? And I think that's the worst question that a divorce lawyer can be asked, right? Because I don't know. I'm not you. You know, I mean, I don't know how I would react in certain situations. The situation that the person was going through was really difficult, and you know, I don't know. And I think that people try to get a lot of, again, here we go. People want to be validated that what they're doing is the right thing. And as a divorce attorney, my job is not to break up your marriage. My job is to help you resolve issues when you've already decided that your marriage should be terminated. And so, yeah, it's kind of sort of an unfair position to put a divorce attorney in. I mean, in a way, I was flattered because obviously it meant that she respected my opinion. But on the other hand, we don't want to be responsible for making those decisions. We don't break you up.
Right. I think you said on your live the other day also, like you'll tell people if they're not ready for divorce.
Yes, I will. Because and so people might wonder why that is, you know, and for most people, I think it's kind of sort of abnormal, right? And it's a break with what they've been trained that an attorney is, right? But my thought process is that you're not going to benefit from the divorce process itself unless you have gotten yourself emotionally ready to get divorced. If you are still in love with the other person, or you still, not just that you're still in love, because you can still be in love and not want to be with the person anymore, I believe. Right? Yeah. So if you've gotten to the point where you're still in love, but you don't want to be with the person because it's just not right, that's one thing. But if you are still in the point where not only do you love the person, but you want to be with them, but you've been told that this divorce should go, you know, that you should be getting divorced because of your facts and circumstances, it's going to be a miserable situation for you. Divorce is not easy, but definitely if you aren't mentally prepared to be divorced.
I mean, how many times it happens a lot where we start the divorce process and we have to take it a little bit slowly because we know that the person is not there ready to make some of those financial decisions, not necessarily because they don't want to make the decision, but they're not even mentally prepared to make that decision because of all of the whole host of things that go, you know, it's your future that you're deciding on. You're, you know, deciding on ending the past. You're making all of these decisions and you definitely have to be prepared for it. I don't know why I'm talking about infidelity a lot today, but the same thing when people come to the office, and I've had consults and their husband or wife cheated on them and they're coming in within a couple of days. Almost always people are not ready for divorce. They're kicking the tires. They want to know the procedure, which you definitely should know what to expect, but you need to let all of that and not make decisions on the moment. I've told people, I've said, I literally have told a person recently, do me a favor. Why don't we sit on this until January? In January, come back to me. If you still feel the same way, then we could move forward with the process. I want you to like digest all of this and deal with the emotions of what happened to you before we address divorce. And they never come back.
Yeah. And they may come back. I mean, you know, listen, I've had people come back I've had people say, all right, we're really going to give it a try. And then, you know, you don't hear from them. And then they come back like 4 or 5 years later. I've had that happen. But in the interim, in the 4 to 5 years in the interim, people have said, well, you know, we actually did have some good years. And then something else surfaced, you know, and we couldn't make it work, you know. But I agree with that. You know, I don't even want to, like you just said, I don't even want to take a person's case if they can't, you know, display that they are really ready to get divorced, because it's actually very difficult to represent a person who's in that situation, because they'll be going back and forth, as we call it, flip-flopping, back and forth on what they want to do, or they make a decision and say, oh no, I feel bad about that. I still, I care about the person. I care about their health. I care about this, that, and the other. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't care about your ex-spouse, but you don't want to be to the point where you can't just make some of these decisions, aside from your kids, as a pure business decision.
Right. A lot of those, what ends up happening is when you're making the decision in fear, out of whatever fear or anger. And then oftentimes you'll refuse to make a decision because you're mentally actually not prepared for the divorce, but you're not necessarily consciously prolonging the divorce, but you are, by not making what could be a simple decision. Because I've had people that couldn't make the decision on something, and then fast forward 3 or 4 months, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, bang, 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 we're done. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. It's difficult, and I think that it's all a part of that regeneration that I was talking about. I think that with respect to divorce, people have to start with the process of, okay, to me, the first part of regeneration with respect to divorce is this relationship serving me, and am I serving the relationship? Not even am I serving the needs of my spouse, but does the relationship feed me, and do I feed the relationship properly?
Right.
That's the first question as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, if you're not getting and giving out of a relationship, then it's time to question the point of the relationship, I think. And sometimes you don't even realize that's happened. You can take a look back and then realize, oh my gosh, I've been living like this for how long? I'm ignoring, either ignoring everything that I want, or I'm totally doing everything I want completely selfishly, and my spouse is actually the one just like, taking care of everything. Because that happens. And it happens very slowly. It's like that, when you have the frogs in the pot analogy, and if you try to dump the frogs in hot water, they jump out. But if you put them in the pot and you slowly boil it, they'll just die because they boil themselves to death. You don't realize what kind of a situation you get yourself into, which, it's hard. It's human nature. You kind of get comfortable in your circumstances.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. You don't even realize that the heat has been turned up. And then you're just, one day you're just like, how the heck did I get here? How did I get here? And by then you hope that your spirit hasn't died, to the point of you being despondent,
Right.
So,
yeah,
girl, this was a great show. We done talked for 32 minutes.
I know.
About whatever, and I love it. We should talk about whatever. We should do that more often.
We should put these out there more often, because I liked this. Just kind of a candid conversation, so everybody can get to know us a little bit better.
Yeah, and really, sometimes you get on all kinds of different topics that we hope help people. We hope that some of the topics that we talked about, make us more real to you, outside of just talking about the law, but also that you can identify with some of it. Exactly. So thank you so much for joining us with Undoing I Do with Stephanie and Aday. We'll see you next Thursday. Bye.